Hey everyone, welcome back to Strange Mind 6. I'm your host Ruby, and today we're going to be reading Spirit Wheel, Stephen Charleston, Meditations from an Indigenous Elder. For the Okla Tikba. Spinning the four directions. I sing here at the midnight hour, chanting prayers beneath the moon. I have no gift to give but kindness, no wisdom but compassion, no authority but our shared experience. Like you, I have watched the seasons turn, deep cycles of change, blessings and sorrows mixed, in the many colors of our lives. What is spiritual is what is most ordinary, the common threads of hope and mercy, the things we know best, because we have lived them all. So I chant the turn of another day, spinning grace into the world, spinning the four directions until they turn like a wheel. A mystery lives at the heart of this book. Over a decade ago, I began writing down what came into my mind each day after prayer. I am an elder, a Native American, and I have been consciously engaged in the spiritual life since I was 4 years old. I began this spirit life in an extended family in rural Oklahoma, where my family had arrived long ago on the Trail of Tears, the forced removal of my people, the Choctaw Nation, from our homeland in what is now the southeastern United States. Thousands of our people died on that death march, and I was raised to remember their courage and sacrifice. I was brought up in the story of our people, the story of our ancestors, the Okla Tikba, and the vision that sustained them through generations of struggle and hope. Prayer, therefore, was as natural for me as breathing. My great-grandfather and grandfather were both Hatak Holy Topa, holy men, preachers of the word. Their legacy in our family was strong. As a child, I was told that one day I would grow up to be like them. I would live a life of the Spirit. I took this expectation seriously and believed in the traditions of my people. As the years went by, I found myself living between two spiritual worlds: the traditional faith of America's indigenous people and the Christian faith, one of the major religious teachings of the larger society. When I became an adolescent, I began a quest to find the place where I belonged between these two ancient visions. I brought my indigenous faith with me as I began exploring one Christian denomination after another. I went to Jewish, to Baha'i communities as well. My search was simple. I would go to worship with any faith community without preconceptions or judgment, to experience their way of praying. If I did not feel a connection, I would move on to the next community. If I felt a spiritual resonance, I would go back and keep going back until I was sure this was not the right fit for me. I don't know how many different communities I tried, but as many as were possible for a teenager with a car in Oklahoma City: Baptist, Methodist, Roman Catholic, Unitarian, Orthodox, Presbyterian, Reformed Judaism, Pentecostal, the list was long, and the adventure of exploration was a major part of my spiritual growth into adulthood. I listened and learned. I came to appreciate the many shades of human faith. One day I walked into a very small Episcopal mission on the edge of town. The priest at this little church was a man who had been broken and brought back to life. He was an alcoholic who had almost died alone on the floor of a cheap motel. The fact that he survived and was given a second chance, he attributed to the unconditional love of a higher power. It was not the theology or the ceremony of his church that captured my heart, as much as it was his personal honesty and humility. Those qualities rang true for me as a Native American believer, because they are the same qualities we value in our traditional medicine people. This man was a living bridge between the two sides of my spiritual experience. He lived what he preached. Yet, given his example was not enough to reconcile the history between my people and the Christian missionary experience in America. For a time, that church gave me a place to carry on my search for answers, for meaning, for a faith that was both local to my culture and universal in hope for the hope of the world. I went to Trinity College in Connecticut as a religion student. I went to seminary in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I studied many religions and many historical periods. I did my research in the Western style of academic vigor and critical study. But in the end, they were not enough. Something was still missing. I needed to do as much learning in my native tradition as I had done in the European Religious Academy. So once again, I set out on a quest to find where I belonged. I went into the ancient wisdom of the Okla as I had done with Western churches, so I did with my own native tradition. I visited as many indigenous communities as I could: Kiowa, Innu, Hopi, Cree, Lakota, Navajo, Athabascan, Pequot, Arapaho, Ojibwe, and many more. The list was long, and this quest took years. I was welcomed by Native Hawaiians, Maoris in New Zealand, and Aboriginals of Australia. I met with people of the Amazon in Brazil. I sat with the elders and listened. I attended their ceremonies and joined in their prayers. I stayed with families and took my part in daily life. Little by little, I immersed myself in the collective wisdom of generations of indigenous people. My respect of their vision grew ever deeper. For more than 70 years now, I have followed my quest, my search for understanding. Over these years, it has expanded to include Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, Islam, Shinto, and many other faiths. Now I am an elder myself, a faithful follower of my native way, but also a spiritual traveler who has learned much from many good people. People like you who want to know where they came from, where they are going, and where they belong. And that is the mystery of this book. Somehow, I believe, the words you find here will speak to you. They will not only make sense, they will rise up out of your own experience. They will not be telling you something you did not know, but rather something that has been part of you forever. The brief messages I have received and written for more than a decade seem to speak that rare language of a local culture with a universal meaning. Somehow, these little messages speak to everyone alike. They cross all frontiers and cultures. I know this because since the very first message came to me, I have written them down on Facebook for all the world to see. And the response I have received over these many years has been both humbling and inspirational. People from every point of the compass, from many faith traditions and many countries, have embraced what you will read here. They have let me know that these little messages give them encouragement, strength, and confidence in our shared future. My messages rise out of the rich soil of Native Americans' ancient faith, rooted in many tribes and nations, but their branches spread out to touch people of all walks of life, of all hopes and of all dreams. How is that possible? How does that happen? Who is really the author of what you are about to read? Why is this happening now? There are many mysteries in this small book, mysteries that I believe can only be solved by reading and rereading the messages here. Read them in the context of your own faith, but with a curiosity, an openness to hear what Native America has to say, to teach, to share. There is a spiritual healing in this book, and there may even be an enlightenment. Only you will be able to tell when you enter into the mystery of these words for yourself. Do so without preconception or judgment, with honesty and humility. Enter the deep earth of our ancient longing and reach for the highest branches of our collective hope. To help you make that quest, let me offer a simple orientation to what you will find here. First, this book is called Chanaha Shilombish, Spirit Wheel, because that image is the spiritual metaphor that holds the whole experience together. In these pages, I refer to the Spirit as the higher power that rescued my priest friend so long ago, that found him in that seedy motel, that brought him back to life as a compassionate and loving person. You may call the Spirit by whatever name you choose in your own faith, but here the word Spirit will mean that great mystery my ancestors always acknowledged, a vast unseen consciousness, both wise and compassionate, that has created all there is and watches over that creation with unconditional love. The wheel of life, it is the reality we all inhabit together, the ever-changing, ever-transforming reality in which we all live. The ancestors called it, at various times, the medicine wheel, the hoop of the nations, the great circle of existence. We are all on that ever-turning wheel, all of creation, people and animals, animate and inanimate, rocks and trees, the whole universe. The wheel is the mystery both behind and within creation. It is the meaning and purpose the Spirit first intended when the lights went on in a dark void. When I started writing these messages, writing down what came into my heart after prayer, day after day, year after year, season after season, I didn't realize how they would help me find my place on the spirit wheel. I wanted a place to belong. I wanted a vision that would make sense. At the time I began writing these messages, I didn't realize how my own quest would reconcile my faith of the Okla Tikba to the many traditions of the other cultures from around the world. I did not appreciate how the spiritual path of my ancestors had something wonderful, something powerful to share with people of all walks of life. But it did, and it does. The mystery of how we can all speak the same language even if we use different words. In my tradition, we call that universal vision, the four directions. This means that the spirit wheel is not one tradition or one direction, but many traditions. The spiritual reality that encompasses us all. As I have read and reread the messages you will find here, I have come to realize that the four directions are woven like threads through them all. I didn't see that at first, but now it's clear to me. I have gathered the messages I wrote into the four directions, so it will be easier for you to see as well. The four hallmarks of Native American spirituality are tradition, kinship, vision, balance. We honor the wisdom of our ancestors, tradition. We recognize our interrelatedness with all living things, kinship. We seek the eternal spirit in the here and now, vision. We walk in faith and spiritual mindfulness, balance. This book gathers the messages I have received and seek to share into one of these four directions that will help you explore their meaning. At times, the connection between the message you are reading and one of the four directions may seem clear, but at other times it may take a little more reflection to make the association. The four directions here are not rigid categories, but porous and liminal enclosures to suggest where each message appears on the spirit wheel. Take each message as you find it. Let it speak to you directly. Ponder its meaning, but see it in relation to other messages in its place on the wheel. Then the vision of the entire wheel may become more apparent to you. In that breathtaking moment when insight becomes an invitation to wonder. At the conclusion of this book, on the other side of the four directions, I write a few words about what it all means, the same questions that started me on my journey as a child, the pursuit of a great mystery. Why am I here? Where do I belong? Where am I going? In the last chapter, I give a brief commentary of where the wheel is taking us and why it is important that we all go together. I look ahead with an old man's eyes to see the shape of what will be the fifth direction of hope and transcendence. There are wheels within wheels in this book, mysteries within mysteries, a lifetime search, a vision both local and universal, a wisdom as ancient as creation and as young as tomorrow. I am grateful you are on the spirit wheel with me. I hope these small messages will unlock your mystery as much as they have unlocked mine. One, tradition of the ancestors. To turn the wheel of history, to each generation a task is given by a will and purpose greater than our own, a work to be accomplished even without knowing the outcome. We are called as if by an instinct of migration, something deep in our collective subconscious, a summons to see the moment clearly, to understand the implications, and then to respond, to act in order to change, to turn the wheel of history, to save what must be preserved. Now is our time. This is our calling. We see the need. We know the consequences. Let us be about what must be done. Good medicine. In the tradition of Native America, we speak not only of the good news, but of the good medicine. This medicine is the power of the sacred to heal our lives, to put right whatever may be wrong for us. It is the spiritual force of love. Good medicine is both a presence in our lives and an active energy that moves around us. Today, I pray that my ancestors may share their good medicine with each of you. I pray that the Spirit, the source of all good medicine, may release its authority into your life, and through you, pass its healing to touch those you love. And we are going to leave it here, my dear friends. As always, may you have a wonderful morning, blessed afternoon, and a grateful night. This has been Ruby, signing off.